So here's the thing. Sometimes it's not the words we say that haunt us, it's the ones we never did. Take a seat. This is the Life Bench. Thanks for joining me again on this week's episode. It's been nice to have had that week off and now get back to working on the Life Bench again. I feel quite rejuvenated and fresh to push forward with things. And I'm also doing quite well in balancing working and time for myself. It's actually really helped because not only am I doing that, but I'm also managing what I do in my work time. So I'm able to work on some other things, not just the podcast. One of which you may have seen a little sneak preview of on my Instagram story last Monday. I don't want to say too much, but I'm pretty excited that I'll finally be able to start that. It's going to take a while to come to fruition, but I think it'll be worth it, and I'll probably continue to post little bits and pieces now and again. So last week I spoke about the toll of talking and how speaking up about different stuff can take a lot out of us. This week I want to follow on from that and flip it to look at those conversations that go unfinished for different reasons. I want to explore why this happens and what we can do to change it. In episode 2, I spoke about why we don't talk in the context of keeping stuff in when we should open up. This episode is about the conversations we never get a chance to finish or even have in the first place. So, in an unintentional way, we've got sort of a trilogy of episodes around talking. Episode 2 was the barriers that stop us. Episode 10 is the effect it has on us. And now episode 11 will be the regret and absence of conversations. All the episodes I do are very personal to me, and this one is no different. But it's particularly poignant because it's about unfinished conversations, which is something I think about a lot. Ads on the Life Bench are always in my mind, and I often think of everything that we talked about, and of course the conversations we never got to have. That hurts, and it's something I miss a lot. So let's start by going a bit deeper into that. So when I think about unfinished conversations, as I've said, the first person I think of is ads. We spent so much of our lives talking, usually at the Life Bench, but if not there, it would have been at one of our houses or out somewhere, or even on the golf course. And not being able to have that now is hard. That thought sits with me a lot, and at times I really struggle with it. When you have that connection with someone, to not be able to see or speak to them anymore is something I can't really describe. But I guess it's just emptiness. There's so many conversations I'd love to have finished, new ones to have started, and obviously finding new stuff to moan about, I suppose. We don't really think that we won't get the chance to have those conversations again, especially when we're younger. I feel the same way about my uncle. Those conversations were a lot more relaxed, often about football or films, but it's still something I miss. I think anyone who has lost someone knows that feeling, wishing you could talk to them again, tell them something important, or just share a joke with them. That's one of the parts of grief I've spoken about before. It has a way of making those silences so much louder. But grief didn't just affect me around the people I've lost. It also changed the way I lived. It made me shut myself away and not want to go anywhere. And because of that, I lost contact with a lot of friends that I care about. And in a way, those are unfinished conversations too. And that's not because I've lost someone. It's because I hid away and lost that contact. I'm hoping now to rebuild those connections and be able to share new conversations, reminisce and go over old memories. Recently, I've become quite passionate about human connection And it's part of one of my ideas that I'm working on to try and help the ongoing problem of loneliness and isolation. Because as humans, we need those connections and conversations. They're part of life and remind us that we're not alone. The thing about unfinished conversations is they come in all shapes and sizes. Some end because time runs out, others because of distance, and some simply because life moves on. But whatever the reason why, that thought always lingers. And that's why this episode feels so important to me. Because I'm carrying those feelings. And maybe you are too. So why do conversations go unfinished? I've shared some of my own personal thoughts. But we'll all have conversations we never finished. And there are lots of reasons why that happens. I think the most common one is because we believe there'll always be more time. We think, I'll message them later, I'll call tomorrow, I'll get in touch when things quieten down. And then before we know it, so much time has passed and that chance is gone. It's only looking back that we realise how precious and how fragile time is. Other times it's pride that stops us. We hold back because we don't want to be the one to reach out first. Maybe we feel it's always us that reaches out first, so we stop. Or we might be afraid how the other person might respond. There are also the things that we tell ourselves, like they already know how I feel. I don't need to say it out loud. But the truth is, words left unsaid can often become something very difficult to carry. We assume people know we love them or how we feel about them, that we appreciate them or that we forgive them. But what if they don't? Or what if they just need to hear it one more time? And sometimes conversations are left unfinished, not because of death or distance, but simply because life gets in the way. We get busy, we drift, we move to a new place or we change jobs. We let texts go unanswered or we forget to keep in contact. And before we know it, weeks, months, even years have passed. And that connection has thinned to almost nothing. As I've said, these unfinished conversations rarely disappear from our thoughts. They sit with us. They echo in the quiet moments. When you see an old photo, hear a particular song, drive past a certain place that reminds you of someone, or just when a random memory pops into your head. I imagine that for some of you, if not all of you listening now, what I'm saying will be conjuring up at least one person in your mind that you miss or you have unfinished conversations with. I've learnt in the worst possible way that conversations are not guaranteed. And because of that, I'm working to rebuild some of those connections that I lost when I was hiding away. Life and time are fragile. It's important we remember that and don't put off these conversations. The truth is that not every conversation can be finished in the way that we'd like. When someone's gone or when years of no contact have built up, we can't always go back and rewrite things. But that doesn't mean there's nothing we can do. Sometimes finishing the conversation isn't about the other person. It's about us finding a way to deal with that and let the words in our head out. Journaling and writing stuff down has helped me a lot. Getting it down on paper stops it from going round and round in my head. It's not the same as a conversation, but it does help. I also write a lot down for this podcast, and then obviously talk about it, which is in a way like continuing those conversations with ads. That may sound strange, but I do find comfort in it. These last 12 weeks have had a huge impact on me, and I've learnt things that I never expected to. We also need to remember to be kind and allow forgiveness, both for ourselves and others. Some conversations will never be finished, and that has to be okay. We can't carry the weight of every unsaid word forever. Sometimes finishing a conversation simply means letting it go and stop letting it define us. There are also the conversations we still can have, and this is important. Don't put it off. Be the one to make the first move. Reach out to that old friend you've lost touch with. Send a message if it's been too long. Or pick up the phone and call someone if you think of them. Let them know. If you feel a certain way, tell that person. We put off so many moments like this and end up regretting it. Don't let it become too late and lose that chance of saying something important. The thing is, I'm still working on this myself. I've told you how grief made me shut myself away and how I lost contact with people. Those unfinished conversations are always with me too. Not just with Ads or my Uncle Kev, but with so many others as well. Old friends, people I worked with, girls I should have said stuff to, even members of my own family. They come back to me at random times. Something causes me to think of a person and suddenly I'm thinking about the things I never said or conversations that just stopped. And I've realised I don't want to carry all that forever. I want to try and rebuild some of those connections, sit down and talk again, reminisce and laugh about old times. It won't fix the past, but it will affect the present. It's not always easy reaching out. Sometimes it can be scary or awkward. Other times it's like no time has passed at all. With some of the people I've reconnected with doing this, honestly, it's like nothing has changed. I don't want more unfinished conversations, and that's the alternative if we don't do these things. I want to try, and you should too. Even if it's messy or awkward, even if it feels too late. It's never too late, all the while the person is still around. And chances are, they're feeling exactly the same way as you. The people we care about are worth making the effort for. And so if I bring this all together, unfinished conversations are part of life. They happen when we lose someone we love, when we drift apart from people, or when we hold back things we should have said. And they can weigh heavily on us, sometimes for years. But there are ways that we can finish them, even if it's just for ourselves. Writing stuff down, speaking them out loud, forgiving and letting go. Or, if you're like me, you could start a podcast. And we can also stop new unfinished conversations from forming by reaching out now, by picking up the phone, sending that message, and telling people how we feel and what they mean to us. I urge you to do it now, as soon as this podcast is finished. If you're thinking of someone, reach out to them. Ultimately, conversations are powerful, but fragile. Don't wait until it's too late to finish one, and don't carry the weight of the one you couldn't finish. Put that down today. So yeah, that's been Unfinished Conversations. A little bit of a shorter episode this week to finish the trilogy of episodes around talking. Thank you as always for listening. It means a lot to know that someone is out there and I'm able to share my thoughts. I hope what I've said in this episode will give you the push you need to reach out. I mentioned earlier about one of my ideas for tackling loneliness and isolation, and hopefully I can build on that and create something that will help. But I hope that this episode will be the start for some of you, if you feel like that, to take steps forward and change things. I know it's not easy. I felt lonely and isolated in the past, and I still do now sometimes. That will certainly be a future topic for an episode. I just want you to know that you're not alone, and there's always someone there for you. Please continue to support the podcast. Anything you do is greatly appreciated. I'm always trying to figure out new ways to grow and reach more people. But if anyone has any ideas, then certainly let me know. Also, no one reached out to me and said about the new microphone. So I take that as a good sign. Hopefully it sounds okay and no different to the last one. If I do sound different this week, it's because I think I'm coming down with what Amber had. The quote I've gone with to end this week's episode is from what is deemed as the final song by the Beatles. Titled Now and Then and released in 2023, it's a soft ballad about the vow of love that remains intact despite the passage of time. And I've chosen it because it's literally an unfinished work, with simple yearning lyrics of longing and absence, reflecting a conversation with a lost person. Now and then I miss you. Now and then I want you to be there for me.